Hey folks, welcome to the Leeds View podcast. We do these now on a Monday and a Wednesday, as well as daily Leeds United news available across YouTube and all of the audio platforms, Apple Podcasts, Apple Music, and Spotify. You can check us out wherever you get your podcast. When you have the channel rating, you can do that on any of the different platforms. And we have got a sponsorship deal with okjerseys.com to give you 8% off in your checkout. We've got summer World Cup coming up, so some World Cup shirts are available there, as well as tracksuits and anything already discounted shirts. You can get additional discount using the code TView in your checkout. We got a bit of stuff to talk about tonight, a little bit of a small therapy session, or have we all just gotten over the weekend a little bit more because of what happened with West Ham? But we're going to have a little bit of a dig into it, a slightly different version tonight, because I want to kind of just pose a few what-if questions or change the approach, a little bit of a paradigm shift for everyone who's watching and listening. So parking the emotion, I've got questions I want to ask everyone tonight, and I'd love your thoughts in the comments sections as well. And we'll get Gerry and Paul's comments now. Paul, first things first, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's Monday, start of the week, positive, more positive than what I was on Saturday night. But no, I am good. I'm okay. I've buried my head in statistics. I have been looking left, right, and centre for everything. I've been doing what people might call as copium. We're going to get into it, I know, in a little bit more detail, but I feel still okay. I know a lot of people were annoyed with Spurs absolutely capitulating against Forest, but I'm not really bothered what goes on between those two. I'm bothered what happens in 18th position. And the key factor is that we've managed to increase the gap to 18th to 4/5 points, if you consider there needs to be a 10-goal swing at the same time as well. So I take the positive out of that as dour and as dowdy. And as, if you like defence, then Saturday night would have been a really cool night for you. But yeah, weird game. But other than that, no, I'm absolutely fine, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get into the two different sides of football throughout this podcast as well and try and have a different bit of a look at it. But Gerry, how are you doing, mate?
I'm not bad. I'm feeling okay. I've made me peace with Kevin Kelleher because I have to this week because it's a big week for us. I called him a cheating bastard the other night, and now, come on, you're world class. Let's show us your stuff. I'll be cheering him on Thursday night. Yeah, it was weird. A weird weekend. I arrived early at Elland Road, and I thought I sat in the car for a minute, and I thought I'll have a little snooze, and I woke up 45 minutes later, and I felt refreshed. But walking to the ground, this is true. I bumped into a guy wearing lederhosen, and I just cannot work. I thought it was the Brentford thing or whatever, and I never really found out. And I didn't really like to ask, but yeah, lederhosen. Yeah, and we had pasties this week in the Brenner Suite, which trade descriptions, there was no filling in them. They were pretty poor. That was pretty rank. Yeah, I wasn't happy with that at all. As for the football, yeah, as you say, we're equivalent to 5 points clear of West Ham, goal difference. And we're another point clear, or we're crawling slowly towards those points total. Nobody really knows what it is yet, but I suppose if you look at everybody's results in the last few weeks, there's not many W's in there. So we got another point, and that's important. We can talk about tactics, how we played and everything. I think the best thing I saw anybody do this week, I heard, was I always listen to BBC Leeds on the way home, and at the end they always do the highlights, and somehow they got a minute highlights out of that. I mean, I don't know. It was basically a back pass and throw in, and somebody else. So it was one of the best things of the night was Nick Jones getting his whatever it is, the cap,
heritage cap. It's heritage cap.
Yeah, and what a man. I mean, everybody sees him beating Bob McNabb, crossing that ball. Clark 1-0. What a player! Unlucky with injuries, and it's good to see him. He looks great, and that made me happy. And of course, the tribute to Chris and Kev, always emotional, always emotive, and always observant. Fair play to Brentford for that as well. And overall, yeah, Keith Andrews, a curly-haired prick. Yeah, he's sanctimonious. That I mean, he's done a great job, and I've spoken well, but that clip of him slagging off Bielsa and the spirit of the game and that. Yeah, the fans told you, mate. Yeah. And why was it that Brentford's tracksuits looked like they just got out of jail? They really did, didn't it? That yellow and brown thing. It looked like they were in a chain gang or something. These are my observations. Nothing happened in the game, and that's about as much as I have for you.
Legal reasons.
Yes.
These are the
Did I mention?
observations of Gerry McNamee.
These are the views of just Gerry McNamee.
And did I mention Declan Rice's tears? That
Yeah.
made me happy.
You might as well throw it all in while we're at it. While we're at
Get it all in there. Yeah.
Get into it. Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
laugh at
Thanks for that,
Chelsea.
Gerry.
Yeah.
Joe, it's funny because
Everybody's thinking it.
today. No, you're right. 'Cause, I mean, even the news today, I did say that I brought up the fact that Keith Andrews had said that, Marcelo Bielsa sending a staff member to stand on a public footpath and observe training session through a fence that you could see through, despite the fact that whatever Frank Lampard had said was not in the keeping of the spirit of the game. But he appears to have abandoned his moral high ground now that he's a manager and will do whatever he can to get an advantage in a game. So it's a very situational moral compass, as Keith Andrews. But and again, I said I'm not even slightly surprised. Complete hypocrite. Absolutely hypocrite. But Gerry, that's the best laugh I've had all day. Thanks for that. I wasn't expecting that at all.
He is. Yeah, he is. I'm not saying anything that's not been said.
No, you're not. Or true. Yeah.
And worse.
Yeah. As they say in America, you are protected under your First Amendment right to have that opinion. No one can take that away from you.
You are.
You go.
Yeah.
We've got a bit. We'll talk about the game itself. There wasn't a lot to talk about. It's funny because maybe it was the nerves, Paul, coming into the game for me, but I was doing the watch along and I didn't think it was as bad as a lot of people did coming out of the game. But again, I caveat that by saying I was really nervous and I was a little bit edgy doing the watch along even. So yeah, we talked about, perky bum holes before the game as well. So there was that element to it. So I was kind of on edge the whole game that we might concede or we might score. And that maybe the game flew by for me. But from listening to pretty much everyone talking to lads that were there as well, they were fair. There was no real clear-cut chances. Mecha has that one dipping shot from the edge of the box that he properly whacked.
Yeah, he did.
Getting a little bit tired of seeing him playing on the left side of the pitch and not up front, where it is actually his best position. Considering his goals per minute are second to only Erling Haaland in the Premier League this season.
Yeah.
Why is he not in the penalty area? Outside of that, Pascal Strokes headed that went to the back post, where usually Tanaka has a small little camping site set up there to tap the ball in. Wasn't there. It was on the edge of the box this time. Outside of that, there wasn't a huge amount else that really happened. Cameron Cardell having
flick on from DCL near the start where Keller had to take it off the line. So.
Yeah, it was taken off the line. Yeah, so that's probably the three. Cardell did what he had to do pretty well with everything else, but we all said coming out of the game, we'll know how we feel properly about this come Sunday night. But until Sunday night, this is either a disaster or a fantastic point. Not a fantastic point, a good point or a disaster. Yeah. And then given what happened to West Ham, I'm ignoring Forest and Spurs. I don't care about 16th and 17th. I only care about who's in 18th place. We've ended up the weekend 1 point ahead, 1 point further on than we were, and as the gift that I jokingly put out on X, crawling, scraping our way over the line. Cramp has kicked in the final straight, and we're now just hoping nobody catches us before we get to the end. And I think we might get there, but I'm not 100%. We've talked about coping, but what were your overall thoughts on the game and on that point, given where it's left us with the light of day and everything calmed down?
Well, I remember ringing you and saying, I'm absolutely papping myself. Tell me something to make me feel positive. And I said the same thing to Joe Blackburn as well, who, congratulations, by the way, got into the media scrum at the end and was able to, I don't know if he managed to ask any questions, but
he did send me the audio. Yeah.
I got very nervy about the game and I felt like it was a bit, to me, it felt like it had a touch of the Stoke about it in terms of how we were going to play. And I'm talking about when we absolutely rinsed Stoke at the start. I thought that was just kind of the feeling that I got, but I think that was probably more the fact that I was genuinely very, very nervous about the game. Then we saw the lineup and we thought, fantastic. Only caveat to that, is he going to be playing two up top with Aronson in behind? And he didn't. So watching the game, I don't think, and I know we're going to get into it, but I don't think some people have given Brentford enough credit for the way that they set up in terms of the way that they played. They did match us in terms of the way that they played. But one of the things and I've said it to you, I've said it a couple of times, one of the things that they did very, very well was cutting out the ball that we would normally play through the line. So
Yeah.
like a quick pass into Stack, or Ampadu progressing forward or whatever, those quick balls that we would normally be able to play. What they did very, very well is that they would normally have 2 or 3 men close to the ball, so it just completely cut that lane out. So consequently, Justin would have to come backwards. The other side to that was annoying, it meant that we played quite slow. We were quite passive. So consequently, the ball just kept going back and around and back and around. There was umpteen times where we could have crossed the ball in the first half, and we didn't. We seemed to want to play it back across the pitch again. Now, if we've got a Gabby Goodmanson playing there, he's straight to the byline and he's trying to put it in. That's that's the way that I see it. Bogle, I think, had the most take-ons in the game as well, and did very, very well on that side of things. I thought Bogle was probably the best in the first half.
Yeah.
Of a bunch that you would have said nobody really stood out. In essence, it was very much a defensive kind of setup and defensive kind of play. Like I said, if you enjoy the defensive side of football, you would have appreciated what happened last night, what happened on Saturday night, sorry, I should say, the way that Beale didn't give Thiago an inch, neither did Rodon, neither did Stroik. And in the same way, is it Patterson that's one of their left centre backs? I think he's called. Is it Patterson? I think.
No.
What's he called?
Pinnock.
Pillock.
Ethan Pinnock, yeah.
Pillock, whatever you want to call him. He had a very, very good game as well. He was cutting everything out. He was intercepted a lot. He did have a very, very good game. The problem is that they were trying. What they were trying to do was they were trying to force us into a mistake. That's everything that they kept trying to do. Luckily, we managed to get around it. But the negative for us that I would say is that we weren't playing the long ball enough. Now, the only downside to that is that we don't have Metcha and DCL close to each other, because one or the other would get the knock on. Metcha was playing more out on the left-hand side, but there were times that Metcha had started to come very deep to pick the ball up. Yeah. And he did look all right. Metcha wasn't bad. It was just the overall way that the game ebbed, and it didn't really flow, it just ebbed. The way that the game ebbed for the 90 minutes just meant that it wasn't until the substitutions were too late. I'm quite happy to say that. I feel like the substitutions could have easily happened at 55, 60 minutes, because they did make a difference when they came on. We've all talked about the stoppage. We know exactly what happened. I saw the technical member of staff waving his arm at Kelleher and went like that. So Kelleher hadn't touched the ball for 10 minutes, then fell down pretending that his hamstring was thingy. Which, and at that point in the second half, we'd actually come out with a bit of spirit in the second half. You could also see, this is one of the rare times that I'll defend Farke on this, is that in the first half, you could see Farke doing this, trying to get people to go a bit quicker, and they weren't doing it. But in the start of the second half, for the first sort of like 10, 15 minutes, we came at them with a bit more pace and we were a bit quicker with them. And it was at that point that Kelleher went down, because the subs had been made, and it just completely disrupts the flow. Again, they need to get a handle on that. But then it just kind of petered out. When James came on, it made a difference as well, because although his crossing was abysmal, but he's not fully match fit. Okafor came on, made a little bit of a difference as well. Tanaka made a difference when he came on, because these are forward progressive players that we can do. It was just, I can understand the frustration, but then when you kind of take the emotion out of everything and look at it, we actually did really well against a team that are vying for Europe, possibly Champions League, who were probably the second most organised side that I've seen at Ellen Road this season, bar none, just in terms of how. So I can't. It's easier now to be, because we've all got hindsight in 2020 and Sundays happen, so we can all sit and go, actually, that's not too bad in the grand scheme of things. The football gods have smiled on us this weekend, and to be fair, they've smiled on us the past 2 weekends. So we've got to be thankful of that at the same time as well. We just need to start. We need to start upping it a bit more. We need to start playing at pace a little bit more. That's my big concern, is not playing at pace, and we need to do that.
Yeah, we've talked about this a bit over the last couple of days, and I've done the Sunday sessions. But Alex, I gave my opinion. Leeds have started to go less direct in the last 4 or 5 games, more passing out from the back, which means that teams have got time to get into low blocks and mid blocks, which means by the time the ball gets to Calvert-Lewin, there's more bodies around them. Brendan Aronson doesn't have the space to run into or play in anymore. He's surrounded by 3 and 4 players every single time. You go back to that real purple patch that we had, and when Brendan Aronson was getting the ball, it was either 1v1 or in space. And that's kind of gone now because of this possession heavy, which Daniel Farke has said is the DNA. But Gerry, they're missing Damsgaard. They're missing a few players, but they're missing Damsgaard, who's probably one of their most creative players. Was very good when he came on against us in the first game as well. He probably turned the game more towards them at that point. And we don't have anyone really creative to create chances. So are we doing a disservice? And this is one of the hypothetical questions I'd love everyone's opinion on. Are we doing a disservice by discounting the defensive performance in this game from both sides? And it may be just being a game of whoever defended the best was going to win this game. Whoever made a mistake was going to lose it. And it just ended up being that kind of a game because Thiago was having a hell of a season. And for 2 games in a row against Brentford, Yacobiol and Pascal Struijk have kept him to literally nothing in the game. And they kept Mr. Smooth Operator, Kevin Shade reference, very quiet in the game as well. Yeah, you're welcome. I kept him quiet as well. So, and even when Ataro came on, they kept him quiet. So someone keep going. Who the hell is Shade? But are we discounting the quality of a defensive performance as well?
Shade was king, wasn't he? But anyway, his love was king. Well, now it doesn't really work. Anyway, you're right. I mean, I thought Jensen for them was brilliant early on, and Leeds, who usually start on the front foot, we were on the back foot for the first 10 minutes really, and you could see the quality in there. I think the what do you call the double-barreled name, lad? I'm looking quickly at the program here at the back. Lewis Potter. He was causing us a few issues as well. And you're right. I think if you're looking at positives, I thought the 3 centre halves were excellent. I thought Pascal was superb, and he was Thiago in the end made a back for him, and he should have been booked umpteen times.
Should have been.
But he's frustrated, and he's 19 goals, and as you say, this season been kept quiet. For me, Pascal was man of the match. I thought Stack was trying to create some nice touches and runs and everything else. You're right about Brendan, and it's saying maybe it's time to change it in there, not because he's done anything wrong, right? And I think physicality. If he's surrounded by 3 or 4 players, it's difficult. As you said, the Newcastle game was his pinnacle, and he had all that space, and he was running and he was creating, and it's difficult. But Nathan Collins, big unit, and hopefully again he'll do the business on Thursday night. And they are strong and well organised. They ain't 7th in the league for just by accident. And for all we want to say about Curly Top, he's done a good job there. He really has, and what he's done with them. I think their reserve goalkeeper went out to warm up as well. I thought that was funny. He came back and sort of had a smile on his face to say, "Yeah, I'm coming on." Yeah, but that aside, I think Nemecha, he was up front. We wanted that, but as you say, Paul, was he really? And again, Calvert-Lewin was a bit isolated. Yeah. Needs a goal. Call up for England. Don't break him, whatever you do. And he needs that, but he's still with the touches. And I think a lot of teams are, they're paying closer attention to him now. And I think that's coming to pass. The subs made a difference. I think Okafor not fully fit, but I think we've seen that while he's not always in the game, he can make a difference. He can create something. Dan James was getting behind them. We missed Gabby, definitely, because we James Justin, for how brilliant he's been this season, is not that type of wing back. And I think Gabby comes back straight in there, and maybe Justin's the one that loses out next week. We don't fit square pegs in round holes, and just a bit more pace, I think. Yeah, and we'll be okay. I'm be okay. Carl Darlow didn't have much to do, but he did well, and I can't really stand and criticize any player. It was just a bit frustrating. Tanaka had a shot, creating, makes that little turn, direction, changes direction, can just create something. But in the end, and I think Farke said when Pascal got that flick on, there's usually someone at the back post to put that in, and they weren't there. So fine tweaks. But when you look at the end of the weekend, West Ham lose. Spurs, I thought, I want to win, but looking at them, I thought that's not a bad result. Actually, they are in deep trouble.
They haven't won a game for nearly 3 months.
Yeah, and it shows. Other than Archie Gray, who's getting rave reviews. I was listening to Hawksby and Jacobs today, and Paul Hawksby, a big Spurs fan. He said, "Was it Romario went up forward and lost possession, and he ran back like an 80-year-old and just." it's just not caring. And is there going to be a change? Because it'll be difficult for them this week. Because obviously, Tudor sadly lost his dad yesterday, and Spurs. You know, if you look at this clinically, and it's the two things, that it's one thing's life changing, and another's football, but they can't change it this week, can they? They can't, and they have to. But what are they going to do? Who are they going to bring in? There's some other guy mentioned I'd never heard of. I think he's computer generated, but I seriously think they are the ones. If you're West Ham,
they're all doing this now. Give me the job.
Yeah, if you're West Ham, though, you've had this great run and great results, and still you're in the bottom three. And you think, and Somerville, whatever's going on there, isn't great for them. And have they shot their boat? I don't know, but I reckon we're going to the two home games coming up against Burnley and Wolves. Everybody's not easy because Burnley, while they're not winning games, they're in games, and you know they were unlucky against Brentford. They beat Palace. They led against Fulham. Wolves are just don't care. We're just playing. So tricky game, but I think we'll get points away from home as well. And I think the 2 wins and 2 draws will do it. And I think we'll look back and think we were okay, but just a bit of angst as always.
There is, and there is, and maybe there shouldn't be, but maybe it is because again we're crawling towards the line. And had we beaten Sunderland and had we beaten Brentford, we'd be on 38 points, and we would. You'd be there. You're just, and we're not. So you're kind of going, it's that. I can see it. I can see the line, and I just, if my lace is just hold together, I'll make that line. But one of them is gone, and the other one's on its way. So, you know, I understand the angst, and I understand the apprehension and the anxiety that's out there. This is my copium right now. And again, a question for everyone who's watching or listening. And this is, again, a hypothetical situation of, is Daniel Farke right to be focusing on the more defensive side of the game than the attacking side of the game? Now, again, I'm not saying he is or he isn't, but you make up your mind. Because 31 of our 33 points have come when we conceded 1 or less goals, which, again, that shouldn't shock anybody. But as a newly promoted side with less individual quality, the usual run of things that are said, we managed to pick up 10 points by keeping clean sheets. Now, 2 of them have come in the last 2 games. And we've managed to pick up 21 points when we've conceded 1 goal. So less than 2, right? That's the bulk of our points this season. So there's a bit of me who looks at this and kind of thinks, maybe he's right. Maybe he knows we don't have the individual quality, and maybe he just thinks, look, that this is the way to get there. If we can keep it tight, there's going to be 0-0s and there'll be a couple of single point games, but we will get enough wins along the way to get us over the line. The other side to this, Paul, is I'm probably clutching at straws here and trying to make myself feel better. That's the copium aspect of this. But when I do look at it, as a newly promoted side, we've kept a hell of a lot of clean sheets, and we haven't really conceded a huge amount of goals. And when you compare it to the sides that are down there with us, we've conceded less goals than Spurs, West Ham, Burnley, and we're on the same amount of goals conceded as Bournemouth, who are sitting in mid-table. And when you look at goals scored, we've scored more than West Ham, Burnley, Wolves, Forest, Palace, and Sunderland this season. So is it that bad a situation that we're in, or are we all just feeling a little bit too nervous about this because of the emotional aspect that's there? And again, I'd love everyone else's thoughts on that as well. Paul, what do you think?
3 little letters for you. P, T, 4 actually. S, D.
Are you sure?
I am. I'm sure. Yeah. So there's just everybody leave me alone. Go on.
Going so well there, Paul. It was going great.
Have a field day with that in the comments, everybody. I don't care. So yeah, PTSD is what everybody is suffering from at the moment. And one of the things that I brought into my sort of preview videos that I do, which are very, very statistic based in terms of the information that's put out in them, because I think it's important for people to get an idea about like counterattacks and bits and pieces and stuff like that to kind of get a view for what they're going to be doing. So one of the things that I started to put in over the last few weeks is goal distribution, because I think that's quite an interesting thing to see. Like for us, we've conceded 14 goals between 75 and 90 minutes. That's our worst period of the game is that. We seem to have cleaned that up a little bit over the last few games. So there's been a marked improvement in that. but it's also interesting to see when we score goals, but when other teams do it as well. And I think that's something that people are worried about at the moment, because it was something that we were just regularly doing. It'd be 1-0, we get to 80 minutes and they'd score a goal. I mean, you look at Bournemouth and what Bournemouth did, etc., so on and so forth. So there's that element of it. There's the element of it where we're Leeds United, we're the best team in the world, we should be beating everybody. When unfortunately the reality of the situation is we've come from being a big fish in a little pond in the Championship to being a little fish in a big pond in the Premier League. So there's a bit of that, just trying to change your modus operandi in terms of the way that you think and the way that you view everything.
Approach it.
Yeah, the approach to the actual game. So on the face of it, whilst it's not pretty and it's not great and it's not this bombastic football that we all really enjoy, and heavy metal and fire beast dancing on the table with your coffee and cake and all of that kind of good stuff. This is very, very. It's very, very efficient football. It's because there's an end goal that's involved with what we're trying to do, which is survive in the Premier League. That is the be all and the end all. If we finish 17th and survive, it's a success. If we finish 15th and survive, it's a great success, but it makes us another £6 million on top of that if we do that. There's a lot of facets that are into it. There's a lot of stress that if we do go down, then what does that mean? Which players are going to leave? Which players are going to stay? Oh my God, we're all going to go back to, and that's what everybody, and quite rightly, that's what everybody is thinking. And I would never begrudge anybody from feeling that way, or for having that sense of anxiety, because that's what brings the passion when you go to the games. That's what makes you shout and sing and enjoy everything at the same time as well. But it's very difficult to try and take the emotion out of it and look at it from a couple of paces back, rather than being right on the front line with it. And when you look at it from a couple of paces back, we're actually doing okay. I mean, I sent you all of those things from game week 31. I've just done a video on it on my own channel as well, where we're talking about certain elements of things. Between Strauch and Jacobiol, they had 22 duels won between them. For your newly promoted, playing in England for the first time, Jacobiol defender, that's what they're producing. You look at aerial duels won on that as well. Jacobiol's in there as well, and Joe Rodon's in there as well. 16 aerial duels won by your two defenders. I know this is heavily relying on the defence side of things, but sometimes the defence is the most important thing, because it gives you a path to be able to build from. Is it pretty? No. Is it exciting? No. Is it getting us consistent points on the board at the moment? Yes. Is it as much as what we want it to be? No, it's not. It isn't. And that's the thing that's interesting. The one thing that did make me giggle on this is that where is it? Chances created. Well, there's Ethan Ampadu, but there's chances created, which is we all lambasted him after the game, but he created 3 chances.
Yeah,
it's the only person that created more in him in the Premier League was Morgan Rogers, which is that's the type of thing that's funny. But 20 passes into the final third by Ethan Ampadu.
But again, right?
Yeah.
Looking at these numbers, and again putting this to what you saw by watching the game, Thiago, has 12 aerial duels won. He has 16. They're both the same. Duels won 16, aerial duels 12 won. Then you go into the most completed passes into the final third. They don't have anybody in there, which means the midfield did its job, and Ethan Ampadu is floating in there for Leeds.
Correct.
Clearances in there. Ethan Pinnock is the third highest in the Premier League that game week with 11. You've also got Jacobiol in there as well, which again leans into the fact that the defenses were doing their jobs. They're having a good game. You get the chances created, and James Justin's there with 3. There's nobody there from Brentford, which again means the midfield stopped them from getting chances. Then you get to take-ons completed. Jaden Bogle is there with 3. I don't think there's a Brentford player in there. Is Keane Lewis-Potter, their left-back, is there with take-ons completed. And then interceptions, you've got Jacobiol with 3. I can't see any Brentford players there. So it tells you a tale of the game. It tells you that from an Igor Thiago perspective, Leeds defence handled it well, because he did win an awful lot of things, but they didn't get any real chances from it. And then from a chance to create perspective, from Jules one, they were from their fullbacks. They weren't getting into our final third, which means the midfield were doing their job. So when you look at it from a defensive perspective, you think, well done. If you're a defender coming off or a defensive midfielder coming off after that game, box tick, job done. Like you're happy with your day's work.
Oh yeah, 100%. You're looking at that going, yeah, that's a really good job for us. It's that little bit of final third. And I think what the biggest problem is, and this is where I probably give Brentford a lot more credit than probably what a lot of other people did, is they squeezed the life out of Brendan Aronson for both halves. And what Brendan's been very, very good at over the last few games, he's gone off the boil a little bit, but I think that's because people have picked up on it, is that he's very, very good at collecting the ball, turning, running, creating space, bringing other people on. And he wasn't. Every time he got the ball, he had 3 people within about a yard of him to get the ball off of him. Every single time.
Which for me is where the manager needs to look at that and go, need to change the point of attack. This isn't working.
100%. 100%.
Quicker than he did. Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that. Without, I said that I thought that I would have probably made Brendan Aronson a substitute at half time, not because he's had a poor game, but because that strategy wasn't working and we needed
to
do
something else to think about.
Yeah, I think
Gerry,
so.
what do you think?
Yeah, well, I think as far as looking at whether we're staying up or not, it's the Dr. Leeds syndrome. We didn't go out of the championship with the record highest points not to get promoted. We could easily be relegated with the record points to be relegated. Leeds have always got it in them to end a bad run for someone or do stuff. As Paul says, we have got PTSD, whatever.
It's that bank, isn't it?
All of them letters. We've got that. And you think
3 or 4, one or the other.
When's the last season we had a not stressful season? And even the Bielsa one where we stayed up in 9th. I remember watching the Fulham game and we were about 9 points clear of Fulham and we won. And even then you're thinking, I think that's just about enough. And there was the stress all season. We were winning games and we were up the table. And right back to pre-Bielsa where we finished 15th every year. Every season there's been something, and every season we've got to this stage, every game we're watching 2 or 3 other teams, and it gets stressed. When you come through it, it's like a weight lifted off you. I can't wait till I don't have to stress about the 2 points we lost against Bournemouth and Everton and Villa. The late winner for Fulham. All these, you add up the points. And there's other games where we got back. So I think that is the problem for us at the moment. And I think the team itself,
For every game, and you're right, for every one of those games where we conceded a late goal and we dropped points, there are games we've done that to other sides and we've scored late.
Everton, first game of the season.
Yeah.
Everton, first game of the season. We beat Fulham, late goal, didn't we? We late equaliser against Liverpool. So it all adds up. I think we're slightly down on it, but you do remember those ones until it's too late. But we're crawling towards it. One win lifts a lot. It's unfortunate we've got to wait 3 weeks now for our next league game, and that's it'd be nice to have a game tomorrow night where we could get this out of our system and get the points. But we got 3 weeks, but we're mulling it over that it was okay and we could be further away, but we are still in a better position. So we got the cup and we got Monday night at Old Trafford on the 13th of April. It seems like miles away, and you're thinking, is that a game that's going to be tough? We'll probably not win that, and will it close up? But the good thing about that game is we will know from the weekend what we have to do, and it could be that we'll get into that game same points clear. I can't remember. I think it's who West Ham play, but if they drop points, Villa, and Villa hopefully have turned a bit of a corner. Thank you. Yeah. So it's very possible that we could be looking at Forest are home to Villa, Spurs away to Sunderland, West Ham home to Wolves. Wolves, you don't know. Wolves give them a tonkin at their place. So there's potential that they could squeeze that up. But it just depends if West Ham lost momentum. Are they losing players? We don't know. But at least if we're still ahead reasonably well, even 2 points, one point, and then we go to Old Trafford knowing exactly what we got to do. But we got to be prepared for it to squeeze up this weekend. We got to be prepared. And but will all 4 teams win, or all the other 3 win and we don't? Don't know. It's not been happening. But again, Dr. Leeds, it could easily.
Well, on the law of probability, it's going to happen at least one weekend between now and the end of the season that we don't get a result and the rest of them do. But Paul, assuming we don't get anything against Manchester United away, because they're in a hell of a run of form right now, although the back of my head is thinking against sides that have gone at us, that's given us a chance to isolate defenders with Calvert-Lewin and Aronson, and that's given us some joy. Chelsea being, Liverpool being examples of both of that. And funny enough, we've been better against the sides, bar Arsenal in the top of the league, than we have been against the sides down around us. Again, that historical Leeds issue of not being able to break down a low block. So maybe you nick a point away at Manchester United, but assuming you get nothing in that game, your next 2 home games are Wolves and Burnley. And they become, and they are, there's no other way of putting this, 100% must-win games.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah.
But they'll both come pretty free in terms of not going to stay up, nothing really to play for, players putting themselves in the shop window, if nothing else. There's a lot of freedom you can play with once the pressure of whether you're going to stay up or not is gone off your shoulders. And you've seen that in the last couple of weeks. I mean, Wolves with two wins and a draw in the last 3. So that says something. They haven't just all of a sudden become a better side. There's a reason that's happening. And they will try and sit in, and Leeds will have the issue trying to break those sides down. But if you get the 2 wins against those 2 sides, you're on 39 points and you're probably over the line. But that's the flip to that is if you don't win those games, you're in big trouble. But we still do have the games. So even if we get nothing off the back of Manchester United, I think we might get a point in that. It's on 34, and then you're looking at the other 2 games, win those 2. You might get something away at Bournemouth. You're there. You're over the line. Now, I want this to be done before we get to the last 3 games of the season, before we play Spurs, before we play West Ham. But it is... We'd all much rather be in this position. As I said, we've scored more goals than the sides below us. Outside of Forest, we've conceded less goals than everybody below us. Well, Forest and actually, Forest. That Wolves for a second there, but no, Forest. We've conceded, Forest. We've conceded less goals than everybody. You'd be much rather be in this position than any rest in coming into this weekend. And I know Forest got a win against Spurs, but that's Spurs, that's its own conversation. But we'd have taken this. No, if someone said to you at the start of the season, and I know everyone will give out about this, but going into the final international break of the season, you'd be 15th in the league, and you'd only be 6-7 points off safety with 7 games to go. You'd have bitten their hand off, wouldn't you? You'd have said it's a pretty successful season.
Oh, of course you would. Of course you would. But the thing is, and this is the PTSD that everybody gets with regards to supporting Leeds United, is they forget that there are other teams involved in this. So, like some of the groups that I'm in, as soon as we, drew the game, it was like, oh yeah, I'm telling you now, West Ham are getting a point against West Ham will get something against Villa because they're because they're this, that, and the other, and it gets very, very doomsday wise. I mean, if you look at Spurs now, Spurs have got to play Sunderland away.
Won't be easy.
No, and then they've got to play Brighton at home at a stadium where they've won. They've only picked up 10 points at home all season, I think it is. And, you've got Forest who have got Villa at home, and Villa are very much a streaky team where they'll go on and they'll win 4 games in a row, and then they'll lose a couple, and then they'll win 4 games in a row, and then they'll lose a couple. Wolves, who knows what Wolves team turns up. But then you've got there's Crystal Palace away for West Ham after that, but we've got, obviously, we've got Manchester. And who knows in that one? It's the next 2 after that are really, really, really going to count. And yes, of course, I would have bitten your hands off to be where we are now, 4 points clear of 18th position, technically 5 because of the goal difference. You look at Tottenham, we're nearly there on goal difference with Tottenham as well. So if Tottenham lose to Sunderland by a couple of goals, and then we get a draw against Manchester, which stranger things have happened, and we managed to pull that one off and get another point onto that. That's 34. Goal difference is looking a little bit more healthy, etc., so on and so forth. It then the momentum starts to get a little bit better than that. I would say that I think Forest's win against Spurs it might be a bit of a false dawn for Forest potentially. So we just have to wait and see, because it depends which Forest side turns up, doesn't it? But
and they have Europe. They've got Europe as well.
Yeah, they have Europe as well.
Yeah, they've got Europe as well, which makes a big difference. So the points are there for us to go and get. We just have to go and get them. But when we're playing against teams like Wolves or when we're playing against teams like Burnley, I want us to go at them. I don't want defensive. I don't want Ilya Gruev's name. Congratulations, Gruev, as well, for winning the Bulgarian door as well. So congratulations to him.
Leeds player to do so. Yeah.
And also as well, while we're on it, while we're on that one, I want to say congratulations to Noah Okafor. I know that he's been called up because of an injury, but I know for him personally, that means a massive deal for him. But also, we benefit from that because it means that he's going to be training, he's going to potentially be playing. Which is just getting him match fit as well. And the same with Dan James; it's going to be getting Dan James match fit. So, I feel like we're in a much more comfortable position than what some people think we are. And I don't mean comfortable like we've got it sewn up and done. There's still a lot of work to do.
There is, yeah.
But from a positional point of view, psychologically, it's much easier looking at the table like this than it is if we were 17th.
Yeah. Gerry, people have said this season and will say we've drawn too many games. But when you look at that league table, we've won the same amount of games as Spurs and West Ham. We've won more games than Burnley and Wolves. We've only one less win than Forest, and that was their win against Spurs. It's the draws that have us exactly where we are. The draws that are keeping us above that relegation zone. I think if you were West Ham or a Forest or Spurs, you'd be going, actually, do you know what? Wouldn't mind a few more draws in there and might be safe.
Yeah, well, look at the loss column there, you know.
Yeah.
I think that 12 could easily be 15 defeats, you know. So it is very important, and just keeping it ticking over. I think the points will come from an unexpected source. I think one of the away games, Bournemouth or somewhere, as you say, Man United might get points. I don't think it'll pan out how we expect it, and we'll do something mad coming out of the international break. Yeah. I mean, coming out of the international break a couple of years ago, we had a disaster and we ended up in the playoffs. But last year, we came out and we just steamrolled everything. And I think a lot of players, like I've been called up, like Calvert-Lewin, must be a great boost for him when he thought his career was over. You say Okafor, I didn't know he'd been called up. You know, Beal's in there as well. All the Welsh boys. It's a big week for them as well. It's got to be good for them. And I just have a feeling we'll be all right, and I have a feeling we win at Bournemouth or somewhere. Do something stupid like that.
It's nuts when you think about it. We've got 13 players away on international duty.
That says something about the quality of your squad, though, as well, doesn't it?
Of course it does. Of course it does.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we got. Hopefully they'll come back fit. That's the only thing. We don't want anything silly to happen.
Jesus, don't get hurt, lads.
Just set fire to every effigy that you've got, or any effigy that's hiding. Go get your lucky pig's feet and rabbit's feet. You know, suck on a chicken's foot.
Get your child of Prague. Stick it
looking for the rabbit.
All the stuff.
I met a guy with a wheelbarrow today full of rabbit's feet, and I thought he's pushing his luck. But anyway,
you were doing so well.
I was.
You were that close.
That was good. That's one of my favourite jokes, actually. Anyway, nobody else's. I forget what I was saying. Well, at least, if we come back and if any of the players are tired, we got the West Ham game. They don't necessarily. They don't have to play. We've got a week buffer, if you like. So that's against my argument I made every week to a league.
No, there's no jet lag though. There's no Tanaka or Aronson suffering from jet lag getting back from international duty with America, then having to go straight into a league game. You know, there's none of that. Well, there's only an 18-hour turnaround between him landing and playing a match, or there's only that gets taken off the table because Gareth Darlow will go away with Wales, but Lucas Perry will likely play against West Ham in the Cup, so that's not an issue then. Darlow,
and hopefully the Welsh boys will qualify, and then again they'll be buzzing, won't they? Although it's a tough old group for them, but it will be.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any Leeds players involved in ours. Yeah.
No, I don't think there is. Not yet. Troy Barrett. Not yet. If we ever get Troy Barrett, I think it's Milan, if we ever do. If you are interested, by the way, we are going to do watch-alongs over on bigup.com for the Ireland game, and we are going to do watch-alongs over on bigup.com for the England matches as well. Keep an eye on our boys, make sure that they're all okay while they're away. So you can join me over on bigup.com if you want to get.
And Bielsa, of course.
Yeah.
And Bielsa,
I know a few Leeds lads going. I know a few lads are going because to see the great man do 13 paces and sit on his haunches and on the box. It'd just be nice to see him, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
it'd be lovely. Yeah.
Great to get him back. Yeah, I miss him. It doesn't matter anyway.
What would he make of all this? What would he make of a game like that the other night?
He hated this. This is
exactly what
Premier
he
League
warned
this season. Yeah, this is exactly what he was afraid of football turning into. It's like the Premier League right now, and the argument that was made at the weekend of how can you call it the greatest league in the world with the stuff that's going on, with time wasting and the ball being in play for 55 minutes on average in a season. You've got Arsenal could win the league on one of the lowest points total. They could still pick up 20 odd points, but as Gerry was saying, they lost the league. Liverpool came second on 90 points one season. Arsenal might not even get to that this year and win the league, and it's going to be record points to stay in the league. So all of a sudden, the league has got a bit weirder because teams are finding the worst ways to try and pick up points this season, and it's killing the game, killing it. But,
and all out of Europe as well. Yeah, all tonked in Europe.
All get tonked.
I love Leroy David Brentford Senior sending on a note when you're losing 8-2 or whatever it is in aggregate.
86th minute.
Yeah, what did it say? Score or
do better.
Respect the ball. That's probably what it said.
They can't sack him though. Technically, well, they can. I suppose they could do
5-year deal. That man's making
deal.
bank. He's making bank if they sack him. Also, how dislikable will Spurs get if they sack their manager the week his father passed away?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say they were ready to pull the trigger the other night. And they went, no, because it's, again, I feel for the man, because any of us who've lost a parent or a father
it's terrible.
will understand what that does to you. But yeah, to be in the mess they're in and then look at it and go, well, optics, corporate world, the optics aren't great if we do pull the plug. And again, as we've said, Tim Sherwood, Sam Allardyce, Harry Redknapp, that ball, go, look at me, give me the job. Dying to get back into find their way back into football. Yeah. That's all the reason they want it, not because they can keep them safe. They want an angle back into football. That's it. No one else will get them a job. But look, we've got 3 weeks to think about it. We've FA Cups coming up. We've got a couple of different podcasts coming out over next week as well, looking at different aspects. We're going to try and do some breakdown videos as well. Keep us all ticking along. Don't go anywhere. There is content, and it will be news throughout the next 2 weeks anyway. And then we go into the FA Cup game coming out of it at the end of next weekend. And then we're back into league action, and we are in the final 100 meters of the sprint to the finish line to see if we've got enough to get over the line. Squeaky bum time is upon us. You can check Paul out on the Leeds therapy. His details are down below. He got some really good video content out in the last couple of weeks as well that are worth checking out. And you can check Gerry McNamee and all of his jokes out on X at GerryMac123. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing if you want to get some daily Leeds news as well as weekly podcasts. If you listen on the audio, give us a channel rating and stick a comment on your various different audio platforms if you want to. Outside of that, there is also the links for all of our affiliates down below. Fanatics for the official Leeds United merch, and OK Jersey for any shirts you want for a World Cup summer or tracksuits for your kids. They're all down below. Check out that detail if you want it. We will leave it there. Massive thanks to the two lads for helping me out tonight as per usual. And thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you all on the other side. See you soon. Bye.
Come on, Ireland.